2,000 years ago, a man called Epictetus was enslaved by a guy called Epaphroditus. Epaphroditus used to hang out with a bloke called Nero, who killed his own mother, brother, and wife. Epictetus was often mistreated by his slave owner, and on one occasion, the sadistic man twisted Epictetus's leg so hard in anger that the bone snapped. Through this adversity, Epictetus learned one key lesson, which he devoted his life to teaching. This teaching forms the basis for cognitive behavioural therapy and lies at the centre of many modern self-help gurus' teachings. Keep watching to see what this is. Hi everyone, if it's your first time here, I'm Sam, the Stoic teacher. I'm a philosophy and theology graduate from the University of Cambridge, and I now have the pleasure of teaching philosophy and religious studies in London. Now on this channel we look at ancient wisdom, modern times, so let's get started. Today is the first episode of our Introduction to Stoicism series, and we're looking at the idea of the dichotomy of control. So first of all, what is the dichotomy of control? In essence, the dichotomy of control is the idea that there are some things within our control and some things that are not within our control. And that happiness lies in focusing on what lies directly within our control. Epictetus tells us happiness and freedom begins with one clear principle. There are some things within our control and others that are not. We're going to talk about three modern day applications of Epictetus's teachings of the dichotomy of control and how it can help you today. So first of all, Epictetus's idea of the dichotomy of control directly influenced cognitive behavioural therapy, which is our foremost way of teaching depression and anxiety in 2021. Albert Ellis, who founded rational emotive behavioural therapy, heavily influenced Aaron Beck, and both of those authors quote Epictetus when he says, "Men are disturbed not by events, but about their perception of events." So essentially, the key idea here is that we're not actually disturbed by the thing in itself, but by the story we tell ourselves about the thing. So for example, if I hear a loud noise outside, it's up to me whether I'm disturbed by it. I would need to first gather more information, but it is the case that sometimes we can focus on the elements of an event that we have no control over and that we don't even have full knowledge of. And this is what leads to flawed thinking, to negative thinking patterns, to some of the thinking errors such as catastrophizing and others that are identified in cognitive behavioural therapy. The second modern application of Epictetus' idea of the dichotomy of control is Jim Stockdale, who was taken as a prisoner of war, and he literally used to repeat Epictetus' teachings on the dichotomy of control to himself every day, and he went through the most horrific abuse as a prisoner of war. I have a whole video about Jim Stockdale and his experiences, and definitely go and check that out. I will link it in the description. And a final application of Epictetus' dichotomy of control, even though Stephen Covey in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, even though he doesn't actually reference Epictetus, it's quite clear looking at his first rule of being proactive that it is heavily influenced by this idea of the dichotomy of control. So Stephen Covey has, and you can see this on the screen now, he has a circle of concern and he has a circle of influence. So the idea is that the circle of influence is things that we can actually directly influence and control. And the circle of concern is things that we think about and we worry about. And essentially our focus is in trying to push those things that are in our circle of concern into our circle of influence and try and influence as many things as possible, i.e. focus on the things that are within our control rather than focusing on the things that are not. And actually, what Covey suggests is that if we focus on the things that we can actively change and are proactive, our circle of influence grows wider. That is the Stoic idea of the dichotomy of control. That is the first video in our series on an introduction to Stoicism. If you're interested in learning about this in much more depth, please click below on my Skillshare class with my good friend Ali Abdal, where we talk about the dichotomy of control in depth, and that course gives you the 5 concrete Stoic techniques that I talk about in this series as well, which you can apply to your daily lives today. In any case, I'll see you next time for some more ancient wisdom from modern times. Bye now.